because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV. We are in Dubai. Delighted to be joined by Chris Eubank Jr. How are you, mate?
Good. Enjoying my time away from, busting my ass in boxing gyms every day, cutting weight. It's nice to kind of get out of that cycle and just relax, not have to wake up and do anything for, a couple of weeks. I'll be back in the gym soon, but for right now, just chilling out here in the UAE, family, rest.
It's been roughly 10 days, I think, since your night in Manchester. First of all, have you watched the fight back? How long did it take to actually watch the fight back?
I didn't watch it for a couple of days, actually. I actually only watched the whole fight maybe a few days ago. I saw like highlights and stuff, but the actual fight I didn't watch. And listen, everything went to plan. Everything that I said that was going to happen, happened. Which was important because everything that I said was going to happen in the first fight didn't happen. It was on its way to happening, but it didn't happen. I had to get the trust back from the fans. I had to make sure that people still believe in me. That I'm not just a hype box. And that's what people said I was for the last 6-7 months. It was embarrassing because I said a lot in the build up to the first fight. Didn't deliver. So, people were skeptical about whether I still had it, whether I still wanted to fight, whether I was still, able to perform at the highest levels. I knew I wasn't. I knew I wasn't finished. I knew I wasn't, too old or not hungry enough. But a lot of people doubted that. I was a huge underdog for this fight. All the experts, all the boxing community, the fans, a lot of them, they thought that it was going to be the same thing. Another Liam Smith stoppage. The last half of the year was tough. It wasn't enjoyable going in and out of these gyms, and you got guys looking at me like, oh, there he is. Yeah, he talked all that up, but he's not about it anymore. He's lost it. It was embarrassing. It was. There were demons I had to fight. Seeing all these things online. All of this stuff. These bad thoughts that creep into your mind. Oh, well, everyone's saying it. Maybe Liam is a better fighter than me. Maybe I should just pack it in. You get that little devil on your shoulder whispering, and you have to, shut up. What am I talking about? I know what I am. I know what I've done. I know how I train. I know how much I've dedicated to this sport. We're going to get this back. We're going to go in there. We're going to set the record straight. We're going to stop this guy. And it's not going to be a miracle. I know what I'm supposed to do. We're going to do it.
I noticed during fight week you didn't say too much. You didn't do a lot of interviews. Was that done tactically, strategically, or just for yourself? Because normally you do. Like I said, you're kind of centre of attention in whatever fight week you are. But I didn't notice this particular fight week you didn't do too much talking.
What can you say? I lost the first fight. So you can't lose and then still come with that same sauce, that same that same chat, I wanted to, but it doesn't fit the position you're in. I can't Salt Bay with the steak, and I can't say 50%. I can't do any of that because the guy has a win over me now. Now I've just got to be a straight shooter. Now I've just got to focus, no trash talk, no hype, just get the job done. It was nice. It was nice to not have to do all of that stuff. Even though I enjoy it, it was nice to I just got to focus on the fight. I'm not trying to sell the fight. I'm not trying to get in the guy's head. I just got to go out there and execute the game plan and be perfect and be professional and be what I know I am, which is a better fighter than him. Nobody else knows, but I know.
When you hear, like, after Saturday, people using the narrative that Liam Smith underperformed on the night, but kind of almost giving you the backhanded compliment of, well, take no credit away from Eubank, but I'm sure you would have heard that in certain walks of the whole boxing media. Not a lot, but I heard a few people kind of push that narrative as well. What do you think about that?
No, absolutely nothing. I expect it. It's happened my whole career. Oh, well, he got lucky. Oh, the guy wasn't at his best. There's always something to try and take away from the fact that I went out there and I did my job. Because I'm the guy they love to hate. They can't give me full credit because then I'm the good guy. They got to keep me. They got to have something to keep me being the bad guy, to being the fake, to being the pretender, the charlatan. They want me in that box. So what reason can we give to why he's still not the guy? And it's not a bad thing because it keeps the people that want to stay on the hate train, that don't want to jump ship. It keeps them going, and it keeps the fans, fighting for, my side. No publicity is bad publicity. If they want to say that he underperformed, if they want to say that, he wasn't at his best, and the weight cut got to him. Listen, we all have to make weight. I didn't eat for 2 days before the fight, and but I'm professional. I didn't blow up in weight in between fights, or in between fight camps, because obviously we had our first camp, then the fight got pushed back. I stayed in the gym. I stayed in shape. He says he may have not. That's on him.
I was going to ask you, just touching it there regarding Liam's comments regarding that weight cut. Yeah, what were your thoughts on the comments he made in the post-fight press conference regarding his weight?
We all have to cut weight. We all have to go through it. It's tough. It's horrible. It drains you. There were, my legs were, when I got up onto the stage and we did the face-off, and after the weigh-in, my legs were tight. I could feel it in my legs. That's part of the boxing. That's part of making a fight. You have to do the weight. It's never fun, but it's you can't use it as an excuse. I mentioned that I cut weight a different way in the build-up to the first fight. So I did a salt bath. But I didn't use that as an excuse to why I didn't win. So it's bad that he's trying to say, oh, well, the weight is the reason why I underperformed. I never said that was the reason. I just said I did something I'd never done before. No excuses, you know. I made it clear after the first fight, there are no excuses. I give you your credit, you won the fight, but I'm still a better fighter than you, and I'm going to prove it. You know, and he gave me a lot of shit. Oh, you're blaming the elbow, you're blaming the referee, you're blaming your weight, and I wasn't blaming any of that. You did elbow me, but it was my fault that I got caught with the elbow. So congratulations, I was impressed. Wasn't an excuse. You know, it's a fight. Yes, the referee stopped the fight too early, in my opinion. But again, that's not an excuse. It's just my opinion. But you know, the fight was still stopped. I still lost. I gave him his credit. He doesn't seem to want to give me mine, but that's okay. I don't need credit from anybody. I got the win. That's good enough for me.
So some of the comments that were picked up from yourself in your post-fight press conference, which gave credit to Liam Smith, saying that, you know, he didn't quit, etc., in a kind of a time now which certain fighters get accused of not wanting to carry on, etc., etc. That's something you gave credit to Liam Smith because he stuck it out as much as he could.
Absolutely. I respected that. His team didn't throw in a towel, even though he was losing every round. You know, he stayed in there. He took his beating like a man. And a lot of fighters these days, it seems they're not willing to do that. If the fight isn't going their way, if they get hurt, if there's a point where, like, oh wow, you know, this isn't supposed to be happening, the game plan isn't working. All right, well, I'm done. Get me out of here, coach. Saunders did it. Dubois did it. A lot of fighters have done it. A guy did it that same night on the show, on the undercard. The White Rhino quit on his stool. You know, and people get upset. Oh, you shouldn't say that. And listen, I'm a fighter. I can say what I want. I do it. I get in there and I fight, and I don't stop. You know, I take a shot. I get up. I'm buzzed, and I keep walking forward. Let me keep going. Because I've shown that, because I've done that, I can talk on other guys. The mentality I have, the mentality Liam had, that's what true fighters should have, you know, because, you know, we're making a lot of money here. We owe it to the fans to give everything we've got. And more importantly than that, you owe it to yourself. You know, because when you're 50, 60, 70 years old and you're watching the replay of the fight, you've got to watch yourself looking up, oh, I don't want to be here. I can't do it. And your son's got to watch it, and your daughter's got to watch it, and your family know that happened, and you've got to live with that until you die. Not me. Couldn't do it.
We did, you'll remember this, I know you will, we did an interview about 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember which fight it was. And you said to me in that interview that you said that you will never, ever quit in a fight. And I said to you, how can you definitely tell? You said, I know I will never quit in a fight. And you said, and now I'm saying it on camera to you, right, that I will never quit in a fight. And I'm saying it on purpose now, because now I definitely won't quit in a fight. I don't know if you remember that interview.
I think I do vaguely remember that. Yeah, you got to, yeah. So back then I probably thought, you know what, let me say it publicly, so that when I do get clipped or buzzed and the referee's looking at me like, do you want to continue? I've got to think, hold on a second. I said to KUGAN CASSIUS 5 years ago that if I ever quit. So yeah, you know, but it's just not in me. Some guys have it, some guys don't. I get it. Not everyone can be hard. Not everyone can be really hard, you know. Some guys are just not built like that. So it's fair enough. I understand. But the fans want to see guys who are willing to put it on the line, who are willing to not give up. You know, and it's getting rarer and rarer these days. I remember watching these fights, 10, 20 years ago, and you listen to the corners, and they're so much different to what they are now. You know, if a guy's getting beat up bad and hurt, the corner, shouting at him, slapping him. You got to do this. Do it for your kids. Do it for. We've worked so hard. Swearing at him. Get out there. You got to take him out. And there's so much energy. You cannot give up. Now, you listen to the corners. Are you okay? Can you keep going? Come on, man. I need you. It's embarrassing, some of the stuff you hear in these corners and some of the stuff these guys are doing when they get in tough situations. I don't know why that is. I don't know what changed. But yeah, you still have those old school mindsets sprinkled around the boxing community. And those are the guys that the fans really appreciate and respect.
There was a couple of subplots going on to your fight with Liam Smith. Just wanted to kind of address a couple of them. A lot was talked about during the week of the Vada testing, etc. A question was asked to Ben Shalom about whether there was Vada testing. We understand that there wasn't Vada testing for your fight. Can you make comment on that? We know you posted, I think, I can't remember exactly what day it was leading up to the fight, that your test from UCAD on the Thursday. But
which was terrible because I was cutting weight, I was dehydrated. The guy had to spend 2 hours in my bloody room waiting for me to be able to take a piss. So I don't know why they would, pick those days instead of, a week before. Or obviously I got tested immediately after I got out of the ring, as you always do. But yeah, to do it on the Thursday when you're really in the weight cut, it's pretty savage. I got tested multiple times in Las Vegas during the camp. I even had a sign on my hotel apartment door addressed to UCAD, USADA, or saying, I can't hear you when you knock on the door because you have a living room and then you have the separate bedroom. So call this number and it'll wake me up. And that's what they did. They would knock and then they would call the number and it would wake me up. And I got tested about 3 times out there during the few months that I was out there. So yeah, I was tested. I don't know what Liam's situation was, but
yeah. Obviously that's in reference to the UCAD testing. If we're to assume that there wasn't any the second layer of testing with Vada, the question is, should there be, for such a high-profile fight as yourself and Liam Smith, pay-per-view, should there be UCAD testing as well as Vada testing?
Should there be? Absolutely. I mean, there should be testing for, even for the, non-pay-per-view fights. I think there should be as much testing as possible. As a clean athlete who's been, tested so much throughout over the years, who has an app where I have to tell these guys where I'm going to be each and every day and they can come and test me unannounced. And I've been in that program from day one. Yeah, there should absolutely be testing. Why there wasn't Vada testing, I don't know. I know I'm a clean athlete, so I'm not gonna, make sure there's testing because I'm clean, and I was getting tested by UCAD. But yeah, I guess there should have been extra testing. Why there wasn't, I don't know.
Right, just picking this back up. Just to finish off on that, Chris, a lot of comments were also made about the point of actually being tested 2 days out from the actual fight night, where the results don't come back in time. So before, obviously, it does give people, post-fight to know exactly if someone is putting something in their system, but for the benefit of being tested 2 days out on fight week, God forbid, in a situation where something was happening, not just in your fight, but could that have been, should testing be done within like that 24-hour cycle where if they have failed, then a fight could be pulled at any given point?
The 24-hour cycle.
Well, look, for example, you're testing for you did on the Thursday. Those results don't come back before the fight night today. They come back after. But should there be a case where testing like that is brought around for the results to come within a 24-hour?
If that's possible, I don't know how long it takes to analyze, a urine sample, or they don't do blood that close. But yeah, that's what should happen. That's the responsible thing to do, because if someone tests positive, the fight still goes ahead. So I mean, really, yeah. It's if you're not going to get the result, then it's pointless. Why are you testing me on a Thursday when this is stupid? Test me the week before. So you've got the results the week of the fight. I don't know what why they do what they do. I'm not a part of that agency. I don't understand the rules. There must be some reasoning behind it. I don't know. I just take the tests and pass them every time.
Yeah, I think, again, like I said, you always post pictures, or normally you do post pictures of when, or footage of when you are being tested, and I think there was a lot of back and forth between the promoters that week, between Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn and Ben Shalom, over testing procedures, and I think that was one of the things that came up about why it was almost the point of a test 2 days out from the fight if the results are not going to come back. So it's just interesting to hear your take on it.
Test as much as you can. Test at the correct times. That's one thing I will give Eddie credit for. A lot of his fighters are failing tests, but he is testing them. Other promoters, their roster's probably cleaner, but it's probably because they haven't been tested as much. So you got to respect Eddie on that. The fact that he's pushing the testing, and it's not benefiting him. In actual fact, it's from the casual fan, it's making him look bad because his fighters are failing more. But for boxing, what he's doing is the right thing.
There was a situation which I don't know how much you want to talk about the situation or make comment on, but there was kind of a bit of a mad situation that occurred with your trainer from the news reports. I mean, I don't know what you can actually tell us, or if you even want to make comment on it, but I do need to ask you about that situation with Bomac.
Yeah, it's something that I am still learning about, still trying to understand. I can't really make too much comment on it right now because it's there's a lot of legal stuff going on. But yeah, nothing ever goes how you think it's going to go when you're looking at a Chris Eubank Jr. fight. There's always things that happen which are just mind-blowing, unexpected. We've just got to try and make sure we do everything we can to help him.
Have you had any conversation with him?
Not directly, no.
Okay, yeah, no, I do appreciate there's a lot of legal implications regarding this, but I just wanted to obviously ask you your comment because it was something that everyone was like, oh, what's happened here kind of thing. So, straight after your fight, you've mentioned some names there, notably obviously Conor Benn, Kell Brook, and the name of Gennady Golovkin has come back into your... not calling out as such, but why Golovkin? I want to kind of go through those names, but why Golovkin now?
It's not now. It's been for years. I've always wanted to fight him. I'm always.
Why now again then, I suppose?
Why not? You know, who else is going to give him a bigger money fight aside from Canelo, which no one's going to watch him pay to watch him fight again. I'm the only name that the people really want him to see, want to see him fight. And I'm never gonna not want that fight. So yeah, Golovkin is it's a great name. It's a great fight to have here in Britain. He seems to only want to fight for. He's only interested in the big money fights now. I'm that.
Chris, what do you make of Simon Jordan's comments on yourself when he was talking about what we're talking about now, and you talking about Golovkin, about Conor Benn, about Kell Brook, but none of those fights push you towards winning a world title? I'm sure you've seen those comments that were picked up on over the last few days from Simon Jordan, was questioning why you are targeting those fighters, where you should be targeting your path to a world title.
I genuinely haven't seen what he said. He's said so much about me that it's, you know, I don't pay attention anymore. I hear it from other people, but I don't pay it any mind. Some guys are just never happy. Some guys are just, you know, they're so they're so wrapped up in their own problems that they try and project and put down everybody else. He seems like one of those types of guys. I kind of feel bad for him. You know, the names of the fighters that I put out after the win, they're huge fights. They're fights that the fans want to see. So they're the fights that we're going to make. You know, it's as simple as that.
And when we come on to this ever-growing, since however long, the last a year, 18 months, talk of yourself and Conor Benn, I think Eddie Hearns has made some comments over the last few days saying that he wants that fight to happen in December. He's almost, I don't know what conversations he's had regarding with your team, but he's even putting out potential dates for early December of a potential fight with yourself and Conor Benn. What can you tell us from your side about if those talks have taken place? Are they positive? He's saying that they are. What can you tell us about that?
There's definitely talks. You know, there's been talks. There's been talks ever since the first fight fell through. But talk is cheap. You know. The fact of the matter is, he is not in a position to be calling any shots. You know, he's waiting to be told if he can even fight in the UK. There's a lot of grey areas in what he can and can't do. So as of right now, you know, we're keeping our options open. Yes, it's a fight I want. Yes, it's a fight that will happen. But I can't give you a timeline. Nobody can. You know.
Would you like that to be your next fight?
Possibly, yes. It's a huge fight. It's a fight that has to happen. It doesn't have to happen next, but it's one of them fights where I don't think it's going to get any bigger. It's at a point now where it's like, all right, you guys need to figure out a way to do this because the demand is too high. Again, there's a lot of legal stuff going on. There's a lot of politics. When, where, for how much. These are all things which are not easy to just get over the line in a short space of time. So we'll see what happens.
Publicly said to the media afterwards that the fight doesn't go 4 rounds, and he said also, Conor, that he was unimpressed with your win. This was something that he spoke to multiple people about afterwards. It would he would end you in 4 rounds. I'm sure you would have seen little snippets of this stuff on social media.
End me in 4 rounds, yeah. I mean, this is the situation we're in now after this, after the first Liam Smith fight. People are now confident, which actually isn't really a bad thing because it makes it easier for fights to get made. But again, I think after my last performance, that confidence is probably withered away significantly. He will say it hasn't. He will say, yeah, I can still think I can bang him out in 4 rounds or whatever he wants to say. But I don't believe he truly believes that. And if he does, then we have a madman on our hands, and that's exciting. That's what people want to see. They want to see a madman get into that ring and try and shock the world. And that's what I believe it would be if he was to go in there and beat me. Especially if he was to go in there and knock me out. I mean, I've said it before, he's got a lot of fire, he's got big balls, but I don't think he really knows what he's in for. He doesn't really understand what it feels like to be in there with with a barbarian, like I said before, with a guy who's been through it, who's done it, and who is not finished, who is not too old, who is not, who hasn't lost his hunger. It's a different experience, man. And the only way he's going to find out is when he finds out.
Last one. Was your career on the line on Saturday? Is that harsh? Because it sounds a bit harsh to me, but it's just, was it on the line? Did you look at it like that?
I'm 34 years old in a week. So, I didn't want to say it leading up to the fight, but yes, if I lose again, if I get knocked out again, if I get stopped again, I didn't get knocked out, I got stopped. If I get stopped again, then I have to go home, sit down and think, should I be doing this anymore? Am I capable of being a fighter at an elite level? That is what it was. I didn't say it out loud, but I knew that was the case. So that was my mindset going into this fight. It was do or die. And that's why I did what I did in that fight. I didn't let up. I threw a crazy amount of punches. I proved that I have the stamina, the engine, which he said I didn't have anymore. I proved that, the old school Chris Eubank Jr. that people said that they missed and that was gone forever because of Roy Jones was still there. He was still active. He was just waiting for the right dancing partner.
Okay, Chris, appreciate your time. I do want to mention the viral video as well of yourself and your nephew that went everywhere. It looked like an emotional moment for you, that as well.
Well, yeah, I'd been away from him for a number of months. I think about him every day. I love that kid. He's my nephew, but he's my son really in my heart. He sees me and he calls me daddy, and that is, it's sad, but it's also, it's beautiful, So yeah, I was with him every day for the last 7, 8, 9 days. I took him bowling, I took him to SeaWorld, I took him everywhere. took him on trampolines, you know, and it's, you know, I don't actually enjoy any of that stuff. You know, I'm an adult. I don't want to be looking at flamingos and dolphins, and I've done all that. But I'm just happy being with him and seeing his reactions to everything that's all new. So that makes it really fun for me. Yeah, I'm going to enjoy raising him. I'm going to enjoy being in his life and kind of taking that father figure for him. Yeah, Raheem's my guy.
It was a beautiful clip, that was. That I'm glad you kind of shared it with everyone as well. Chris, much appreciate your time. I do understand that you've probably got better things to do here in Dubai than spend half hour talking to me, but it's much appreciated.
Always a pleasure.
KUGAN CASSIUS here with Chris Eubank Jr. Thank you very much.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,